Listen closely, because what you're about to hear isn't just a story about a boy who disappeared. It's about the moment the world realized he never really left. October 15th, 2005. A small park in late afternoon gold. Children screaming on swings. Ducks arguing over breadcrumbs. And one red balloon rising. Slow, lazy, ownerless. 5-year-old Elias Harper had been holding that string 30 seconds earlier, laughing, running in crooked circles, his green dinosaur shirt flashing between the trees. Then silence, not the kind that follows noise, the kind that replaces a heartbeat. His mother turned once, looked left, looked right. The balloon kept climbing. Elias did not. They dragged that pond for 9 days. Divers came up coughing mud and despair. Bloodhounds lost the scent at the water's edge. Every car in a 50-mile radius was stopped. Every basement searched. Every stranger stared at too long. Nothing. John and Emily Harper buried an empty white coffin beneath a granite stone too small for all the grief carved into it. Elias Michael Harper, beloved son, 2000-2005. They stood there in black, holding each other like the wind might steal one of them next. The years ground forward. Anniversaries became rituals of pain. The bedroom door stayed closed. The dinosaur stayed on the pillow. Hope didn't die all at once. It just bled out quietly until one day they woke up and realized they'd stopped expecting the phone to ring. 20 years passed. And then, on the exact same date, the exact same hour, the message arrived. A single email from an anonymous account. Subject, I'm him. One attached photograph. A Polaroid so old the colors had gone soft and sick. A little boy in a green dinosaur shirt, sitting on a woman's lap. Not Emily. Behind the child's head, barely visible in the corner of the frame, a calendar on the wall. July 2004. The boy is smiling. The woman is not. And the eyes, those unmistakable blue eyes, are staring straight through 20 years of mourning directly at the two people reading the screen right now. John's hand shook so violently the laptop slid off his knees. Emily made a sound no human throat should make, because the message continued. Meet me tonight. Same park. Same duck pond. 6 p.m. Come alone. If you bring the police, I disappear again. This time forever. They stare at each other across the kitchen table. Two middle-aged strangers wearing the wreckage of the parents they used to be. They didn't call anyone. They didn't debate. They simply stood up, found their coats, and walked out into the October dark. Because sometimes the only thing more terrifying than losing your child is the possibility that he's still alive and someone else has been raising him, and that someone has known exactly where he was the entire time. Tonight the truth comes home. But truth has teeth, and it's already hungry. The boy who came back. Prologue. October 15, 2005. 5-year-old Elias Harper vanished between the swings and the duck pond. One moment he was laughing, chasing a red balloon. The next, the balloon floated away alone. The police dragged the pond, combed the woods, interviewed every parent at the park. Nothing. John and Emily Harper aged 10 years and 10 days. They buried an empty coffin on a cold November morning. The headstone read, Elias Michael Harper, beloved son, 2000-2005. They never stopped looking, but after a decade, they stopped hoping. Chapter 1, The House That Lied. 20 years later, Marcus Kane stood in the attic of the isolated farmhouse outside Asheville, North Carolina, holding a shoebox that smelled of mildew and secrets. He had lived here all his life, Victor and Clara Kane's only son, or so they said. Victor was a retired corrections officer with fists like sledgehammers. Clara never met a bottle she didn't like. Marcus had learned early that questions earn bruises. The box contained a single Polaroid. A little boy in a green dinosaur shirt, sitting on a woman's lap who was definitely not Clara. The woman's smile was soft, her eyes the exact shade of blue Marcus saw every morning in the mirror. On the back, in faded blue ink, Elias, age 4 with Mommy, July 2004. Marcus's heart hammered, so hard he tasted metal. He had always known he didn't belong. Victor's rages, Clara's cold indifference, the way they watched him like he might run. He slipped the photo into his wallet and left the house before dawn. Chapter 2. The Search. In a Raleigh internet cafe, Marcus typed his own face into every missing child database. On the third site, he found it. The Harper case file, still open. The boy in the age-progressed photo looked exactly like him. Same cowlick, same slight gap between the front teeth. The parents, John and Emily, had gray hair now, but their eyes were the same. He created a burner email. I think I'm your son. I have proof. Meet me at the old duck pond, October 15th, 6 p.m. Come alone. He hit send before he could change his mind. Chapter 3. The Reunion. Emily Harper arrived first, clutching a stuffed dinosaur that had waited 20 years on Elias's bed. John followed, scanning every face. When Marcus stepped out from the trees, Emily dropped to her knees. Elias. He wanted to say no, that his name was Marcus, that he was nobody's son anymore. Instead, he whispered, Mom? They hugged like drowning people, grabbing the same rope. John wept openly. For 10 minutes, the world narrowed to 3 beating hearts. Then Marcus heard the click of a safety being released. Chapter 4. The Hunters. Victor and Clara had been watching. They always watched. Victor's truck idled at the park entrance, engine off, windows cracked. Clara held a .38. She kept oil for 20 years. They're taking him, Victor growled. After everything we did. Clara's voice was flat. We raised him. He's ours. They moved like wolves. Victor cut through the trees. Clara circled the long way. Marcus saw the glint of metal first. He shoved his parents behind a picnic table just as the first shot shattered the night. Run. John grabbed Emily's hand. Marcus sprinted the opposite direction, drawing fire. Bullets chewed bark off the oaks. He vaulted the low fence, feet pounding the old service road. Behind him, Victor cursed and reloaded. Marcus's lungs burned. He had no plan, only the photo burning a hole in his pocket and the memory of his mother's arms. He reached the river, dove in, let the current carry him downstream, while Victor's flashlight swept the bank above. Chapter 5. The Trap. At 3 a.m., Marcus limped into the farmhouse. He knew every creak, every shadow. He took Victor's old service revolver from the gun safe, unloaded, but the weight was enough to bluff. Then he waited in the dark kitchen. Victor and Clara burst in at dawn, soaked and furious. Boy! Victor roared. Get out here. Marcus stepped into the light. It's over. I called the police. They're tracing the truck. You're done. Clara laughed, a brittle sound. You think they'll believe a runaway over us? We have 20 years of school records, doctor visits, your name on every form. Marcus lifted the revolver. And I have this. Victor lunged. The fight was short and ugly. Marcus took a fist to the ribs that cracked something, but he drove his knee into Victor's groin, then smashed the revolver's grip across the man's temple. Clara screamed and swung a kitchen knife. Marcus caught her wrist, twisted until the blade clattered away. He zip-tied them both with cable from the basement. Victor had always kept plenty for discipline. Sirens wailed in the distance. Chapter 6. The Truth. The state police arrived with John and Emily in the lead car. Emily ran to Marcus, pressing her forehead to his. You're safe. You're home. Detectives read Victor and Clara their rights, while Marcus sat on the porch steps, wrapped in a blanket that smelled like his mother's perfume. He handed over the Polaroid. John's voice cracked. We never stopped loving you. Never. Marcus, Elias, looked at the 2 people who had stolen him and the 2 who had never stopped searching. For the first time in 20 years, he let himself cry. Epilogue 1 year later. The Harper house smelled of cinnamon rolls and fresh paint. Elias's old room had been kept exactly as it was, but now a new desk held his laptop. He was finishing a degree in forensic psychology because he wanted to understand monsters so he could stop them. Victor and Clara Kane received life sentences without parole. The media called it the boy who came back. Elias hated the nickname. He preferred the one his mother whispered every night when she tucked the blanket around his shoulders. My boy. On the anniversary of his return, the family stood at the duck pond. Elias released a single red balloon. It floated up, catching the sun until it was only a bright speck against the blue. He turned to his parents, smiled the gap-toothed smile they had waited 20 years to see again, and said the words that finally felt true. "I'm home." 1 year later, October 15th again. The same duck pond glimmers under a softer sun. The leaves are turning gold and red, the way they did the day everything ended and the day everything truly began. Elias stands between John and Emily. Not a child anymore. Not quite the broken man Victor and Clara try to forge. Just himself. Finally, in his hand, one red balloon. The string is new, bright nylon this time. No frayed edges, no 20-year-old knots. He lets it go. It rises slowly at first, hesitant, as if remembering how heavy the air once felt. Then the breeze catches it. Higher, higher still. A single bright spot against endless blue. No one speaks while it climbs. They don't need to. The silence is different now. Not the choking quiet of grief, but the kind that comes after the storm has passed and the house is still standing. Emily reaches out and slips her fingers through her son's. John rests a hand on Elias's shoulder. Steady, not desperate anymore. They watch until the balloon is only a red pinprick, then gone. But before it disappears completely, something flutters down from the string. A tiny folded note tied with thread. Elias catches it midair. He unfolds it carefully. Inside, in Emily's handwriting from years ago, careful, hopeful letters she used to write on birthday cards she never sent. If you ever find your way back, know this: we never stop setting an extra place at the table. We never stop leaving the light on. Welcome home, my boy. He reads it twice, then folds it again and slips it into his wallet, right beside the old Polaroid of the woman who was never his mother, the one he keeps now as proof that monsters can wear kind faces and that truth can wear scars. They walk away together. 3 sets of footsteps on the same path that once held only 2. Behind them, the ducks quack softly, undisturbed. The water reflects the sky. Everything is quiet, but if you listen very closely, if you stand exactly where a 5-year-old once laughed, you might still hear the faint echo of a child's voice chasing a balloon, and the answering whisper of parents who never gave up, because some stories don't end with a scream in the dark. Some end with a balloon rising free, and a family finally breathing the same air again. The boy who was stolen came back, not as a ghost, not as a headline, as a son, as a man, as proof that love, real love, waits longer than hate ever can. And sometimes, just sometimes, it wins.